Yes. Call Bellefonte Borough Council meeting to order. I'd like to ask you to stand for the pledge of allegiance, please. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to remain standing, please. Recognize a moment of silence for our Mr. Rich Kelly, who is a chief at our Undying Fire Company for over 25 years. He recently passed away. Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Bernier.
Here.
Mr. Brackbill.
Here.
Ms. Clayton.
Here.
Ms. Dan.
Here.
Mr. Johnson.
Here.
Ms. McKean is away. Ms. Purnell.
Here.
Ms. Sedgwick.
Here.
Ms. Tosti Vasey.
I'm here.
Mr. Larson.
Here.
Mayor Johnson.
Here.
Okay. Do I have any additions to the council meeting agenda? Any member of the council? Please take this flag. Next is public comment. So if we have anybody
In the audience that would like to make a comment, now is your time to do it. We ask that you come to the podium, please. Yes, Joanne.
He's asking us to push our mics when we talk.
Okay, mine's pushed. Thank you. Come to the podium and state your name and limit your comments, please, to 3 minutes. Thank you.
I will. Good evening. My name is Joseph Griffin. I live at 133 North Spring Street in Bellefonte. Don is passing out a little piece of paper that I'd like you to have in your possession. I'm here just to say a few words about the Bellefonte Historical and Cultural Association, and more importantly, to ask council's forbearance concerning a request for permission to hold a special event downtown without sufficient advance notice. First of all, talk about BHCA, the association. We've been around since the 1970s and are associated with lots of good things in Bellefonte. For example, Talleyrand Park, the Summer Sounds from the Gazebo concerts, the Victorian Christmas Arts and Crafts Fair. We've been doing these kinds of things for 40 years. Most people don't even know that we exist, but we do, and we've been trudging along. However, the people who started BHCA are still with us. Most of them are octogenarians. At 79, I'm one of the youngest ones kicking around that have been associated with the organization for a few years. So, we're old, we're tired, and when the pandemic came, we just about shut down. However, the pandemic went away. We have revitalized ourselves. We've got new bylaws. We recorded a new board, and we're up and running, and we want to do a whole bunch of things. And the big word these days is programming. BHCA is going to try to do lots of programming so that something interesting is happening in Bellefonte every week of the year. A lot of that will be inside, behind closed doors, and we don't have to talk about that here, but some of the events will be outside. And for those, we need permission. Just to give you an idea of what we're thinking about, we're considering a penny farthing bicycle race in Talleyrand Park, an evening square dance with live music outside the train station, an outdoor reading of Animal Farm, a hip-hop dance presentation, a jitterbug dance contest, and a maypole dance for children in Talleyrand Park. We're going to try to do lots of fancy things. We have a lot of money in the bank, and we're planning to spend it. We're hoping to replace it with donations made by people who see how useful we are. But the reason I'm here tonight is because we had talked about having an Easter parade on Easter. Lots of people say that's a terrible idea. You should have it the Saturday before Easter. The weather is bad. It could rain. It could be cold. Nobody's interested. There'd be all kinds of traffic problems. That may be the case. But we'd like to sort of run a trial run. Namely, we'd like a sidewalk Easter parade. This project is being done in conjunction with Helen Fox and Company. The parade would start on the sidewalk at Helen Fox and march up basically to where the courthouse is and take a little dog leg, and that would pretty much be it. There would be prizes, there would be different categories, probably less than 100 people would participate. There would be a brass band with 4 or 5 people playing instruments, of course playing Easter Parade. Now, is this going to happen? We're going to try to make it happen, but of course we can't do it because we have to go on the side, we have to go the crosswalk across Cherry Lane. Now, Cherry Lane is a one-way street coming down into South Allegheny. If we could block off about 75 or 100 feet of that road for half an hour, everything would be fine. It's possible to do that without interfering with any ingress or egress to that road, and there's not too much traffic at 2 p.m. on Easter Sunday in Bellefonte. I think you would agree. Anyway, that's what I'm here to talk about, and I think I've used up my 3 minutes. You have the information. I've given Don our application, and I hope you'll consider it. And let me know soon, so if it's possible, we can try this thing out. If it works, we could have a real Bellefonte tradition, just like Victorian Christmas, every Easter. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Others?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the council. My name is John Gazar. I live at 1318 Joanna Drive in the Bellefonte Borough. Got to keep track of my time here, sorry. So I'm here tonight as the president of the Board of School Directors for the Bellefonte Area School District. Seeing that the district's land development plan is on your agenda for this evening for possible action, I would encourage you to take that action to review and subsequently approve that land development plan this evening. Your approval tonight is absolutely critical step that will allow us to meet our targeted bid, award, and groundbreaking schedule for this project. Completing this critical step this evening allows the district to submit for other required permits, building permits, reviews of construction documents, etc. And that keeps the timeline needed for this project. Imperative short-term milestones in that timeline include the district's going out to bid for this project in March of 2024. Awarding this project in April of 2024, and groundbreaking for construction in May of 2024. The district is fully committed to this timeline. We're thankful for the interagency cooperation that we've all received to this point, and we hope to continue those efforts through collaboration through those agencies. We'd like to bring this project through to its safe completion and timely completion with minimal impact to the taxpayers of this borough and of our school district. I'm joined this evening by fellow board members, by Superintendent Bernaford, by our Director of Physical Plant, Mr. Lannon, other distinguished educators, by Mr. Bean, our business manager, and also by our construction manager. I'm sorry he couldn't make it this evening, but also our civil engineer, who is HRG, and I believe you guys have dealt with in some of your work sessions. So we all just want you to know that we are very committed to the delivery of education for our students in this district. This means that all aspects of the project, including traffic and other concerns that have been mentioned in past meetings, we are committed to. Worthy of mention are those issues of traffic flow. And this team here this evening, they have planned, budgeted for, and are fully committed to completing all off-site traffic that is required through the PennDOT process, regardless of what that means. That study, as you know, is currently underway. Now, during your consideration of our plan, feel free, this team is here this evening, feel free to call on any of us should you have any questions when this is before you for consideration. We do believe in making informed decisions. So we wanted to be here this evening to show our support and offer that availability to you in case it's needed. So again, thank you for your time this evening, and we look forward to your positive vote to our land development plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gazar. Others in our audience that have public comment? Borough Council.
Yes, I have just a quick question for Ralph. Let me find it. Oh, here it is. At the last meeting, I asked about the 600 block of Scenic Street and whether it was Borough Street or not? And if it was, do you have any idea when the repairs could be made on that street?
We're still looking at that. Years ago, there was an issue with a right-of-way. We're still evaluating our records and looking through those to make sure it is or is not part of our responsibility. So I'll have a memo here pretty soon, probably by the next meeting.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, if there's not other public comment, we're going to move on to the next is our consent agenda. No, I'm sorry, communications. Mr. Stewart?
Yes, there's just a couple items. One's in regard to the baseball field, looking to see if council would change the policy to allow an hourly rental or a partial day rental of the new ball field. Right now, it's understood that the policy is it's a one-day only, full-day rental. So if you're interested, we will change the policy. We would prefer you to, vote it up or down, then we would know.
I'll
Question?
make a motion to allow that to happen. Little benefit.
I think you as chair.
Oh, I can't.
Yeah.
No.
There we go.
I have a second.
Second, Tosti Basie.
Thank you, Joanne.
Now, I think we have to have some discussion as to
Sure,
what kind of
discussion.
fees. I thought about this afternoon, and I came up with 3 different options. The first one was keep the $500 for each day of a tournament, and then $63 per hour for practices. The second option I thought of was turn everything into hourly fees. So example, if a typical tournament takes 4 hours a day, that would make the tournament $125 an hour and practice $63 an hour. Or we could split the difference in that second option and just say everything, practice and tournaments, are $94 an hour. So that still gets us basically the $500 if they're going to do a whole day. So it would be $500 for a whole day for a tournament and then hourly from that. So, but I think right now, I'm not sure we have enough information to make those kinds of decisions. I do like the idea of adding an hourly fee, but.
Yeah, so for those of us that aren't familiar with the fees, Mr. Stewart, would you come back with just exactly how that would work, and then we can
Yes,
vote on, we can vote on the specifics at another
Yes,
meeting.
that's what
Right
we'll
now,
do.
we're just going to vote to go ahead and allow that to happen, and then
Yeah.
we'll come up with a fee schedule, and
Perfect.
sounds good. So I had a motion, I had a second, so we're going to vote on allowing that to be changed, and you'll give us the fee schedule at a later date. Sir?
Mr. Bernier,
Yes.
Mr. Brackbill,
Yes.
Ms. Clayton,
Yes.
Ms. Dan,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson, Ms. Purnell,
Yes.
Ms. Sedgwick,
Yes.
Ms. Tosti Vasey.
Yes.
Thank you. Second item for communication is Stony Batter and Pine Street speed study results.
Yes, the results are here. They're also listed under old business. The thing that is not really listed here, but we want you to look at it, is a letter from PennDOT regarding State Route 144 Pine Street. There are some recommendations in that letter. So that's really the main communication. When we get down to, if we could just discuss it now, I guess, but under old business, our police department did complete a speed and volume study. The results were attached to this PennDOT letter, so they're there for your review. We are been discussing the Stony Batter portion, which is a local street, with our LTAP, which is a PennDOT program representative, and he is just now looking at the Stony Batter area, and he requested the speed and volume studies. So I don't have his results yet, but probably by the next meeting I hope to, and then we'll have you, we'll send them out to everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart.
One quick question. So we won't do anything to either streets until we have all of the reports done, is that correct?
I think the Pine Street had a couple very basic suggestions from PennDOT, and they, for example, they said when the speed limit's under 35 miles per hour, the local municipality can install additional stops or speed limit signs. We'll go out with our Public Works Department and look at that. They also said we could put those little orange triangle or diamond shape markers on top of the speed limit signs that we could do in-house. So we'll look at locations and look at improving the signage because PennDOT is okay with us doing that.
Thank you.
Next is our consent agenda. All items listed on the consent agenda are considered routine and will be acted upon by a single motion. There will be no separate discussion. Do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
I'll make the motion to accept the council and Stover McLaughlin invoice.
Thank you, Mr. Brackwell.
I'll second it, Tosti Vasey.
Thank you, Joanne.
Mr. Bernier?
Yes.
Mr. Brackbill?
Yes.
Ms. Cleaton?
Yes.
Ms. Dan?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson? Ms. Purnell?
Yes.
Ms. Sedgwick?
Yes.
Ms. Tosti Vasey?
Yes.
Next session is our reports. Mr. Mayor, do you have a proclamation?
I do, thank you. I have a School Resource Officer Appreciation Day proclamation. Whereas the National Association of School Resource Officers and the Bellefonte Borough Police Department are dedicated to making schools and children safer by providing the highest quality training to school-based law enforcement officers. And whereas school resource officers within the Bellefonte Area School District bridge gaps between youth and law enforcement and embrace a triad concept of school policing, serving in informal counseling education, and law enforcement roles in supporting students and communities they serve. And whereas by training law enforcement officers to counsel, educate, and protect school communities, the men and women in blue promote a positive image of law enforcement to school children and school communities. And whereas SRO programs across the globe are founded and collaborative efforts by police agencies, law enforcement officers, educators, students, parents, and communities to create safe learning environments, provide valuable resources to school staff members, foster positive relationship with students, and develop strategies to resolve problems that affect youth with the goal of protecting all children so they can reach their fullest potential. And whereas Bellefonte School Resource Officers are valuable and essential members of the education community and deserve unwavering respect and support from the public in the pursuit of keeping schools and students safe. As counselors and mentors, the SRO impact the lives of our future generations and ensure staff safety through ALICE training. And now, therefore, the National Association of School Resource Officers, I, Buddy Johnson, Mayor of Bellefonte Borough, Center County, Pennsylvania, do hereby proclaim February 15th, 2024 as School Resource Officer Appreciation Day. I just want to add, I know there's a lot of people in this room today who agree what a valuable asset our school resource officers are, and they go above and beyond, and I'm very proud to be associated with that and to have them in our schools and protecting our community and our future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The rest of our reports have been submitted. They're in your packet there. Chief Weaver's here if you have a question for him relative to his report. Go ahead. Barbara Dan, yep, he's coming up. Yep.
Pardon me?
You caught the mistake with the...
I did, and then I couldn't pronounce it very well, but that's okay. I have kind of a general question. I'm sorry. Thank you. I was looking at traffic stops and citations and warnings, and I'm just looking at December. So we had 81 traffic stops, 8 citations, and 72 warnings. Are the warnings verbal warnings, or are they written warnings?
I encourage the officers to handwrite warnings, and some of them are now computer generated.
Okay. Because I think we had talked a little bit before about this, as you feel comfortable giving the warnings, but if people are repeat offenders, then
Right.
You follow up as a citation. And I guess I just wondered how
They are
you-
kept track of in our
They
system.
are kept track of as written.
Yes.
Okay. Are they all written or not are they all written written warnings, or not necessarily?
I've given verbal warnings before. If I have a vehicle stopped and I'm needed elsewhere, it's a quick verbal warning, I'm out of here, I have to go type deal. I can't say that every vehicle stopped receives a written warning.
Okay. Okay, so the ones that are listed on here would be written ones, though, on this report?
Right, so I assume that most of them are written, so if it's a warning, it's, I would say it's usually written. But these warnings are documented, though, so if there's a vehicle stop, it's documented with 911 if there's a vehicle stop. So I take the number of citations, just subtract, and I figure out how many warnings were issued.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Thank you, Chief. Ms. Thompson's out there. You have anything to add from your report? Oh, shutting the lights on. Nope. Got a sign for the public.
Yeah, I just wanted to remind council and the public that we are having our first public meeting for the update of the Bellefonte Historic Guidelines. This is going to be February 27th. That's Tuesday at 8:30, from 8:30 to 10 in Bellefonte Springboard. There's that for you guys. You have that in your packet. So this was a postcard that went out to all of the people in the historic district. There may be a few outliers that didn't get it, and I do have some extras if you would like this, but it kind of describes a little bit of what the project is and what Landmarks, who is our the consulting agency, what they'll be doing. So this public meeting, very briefly, is just the first of a couple to engage stakeholders in the process of updating the historic guidelines. We're particularly interested in having business and property owners that obviously are in the historic district come to this meeting, and it'll be very interactive to get feedback from them about HARB and to teach them and for people to learn a little bit more about the standards that HARB has to adhere to, and all of that information to help guide the update of the historic guidelines. So I just encourage members of council to attend this meeting if you are able, and members from the public are welcome, but particularly those in the historic district. We hope that you can come and engage in this public meeting. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you, Gina. I think that's going to be a huge help. Thank you. Yes, Joanne.
I just want to make a quick statement. Under old business, there's a motion to conditionally approve the elementary school land development plan with the conditions that were outlined by the solicitor. This contract has nothing mentioning in it about the recommendations of the fire safety review. So when we get to that point, at the table is a series of amendments to the contract to put it together, and I'll explain why when we get to that point. Just a heads up.
Thank you, Joanne. Other reports? You good there, Mr. Larson? You have anything? I know you gave your report last month. All right, buddy. Liaison reports. They're there for us. Anybody have any questions or comments? Or yes, Joanne.
Under the Beta report, the Bellefonte Area Industrial Development Authority, I noticed that the $200,000 grant from the borough to Beta was returned to the borough. Which budget was it returned to? What can we use it for? Can we use it for CATA, or is it only for bricks and mortar type of capital improvements?
Well, it was returned back to the bulk water fund where the funds were taken from. So anything that you have done with that in the past, you could use it for that, or you could apply it back towards the remaining balance on the waterfront property.
Thank you.
Other questions on any of those administrative reports that you have there that were submitted? Anybody from council? If not, we're going to move on to current and old business. First is CATA fee increase and effects to services. We have a work session scheduled for 6:30 p.m. on Monday, March 18th, with area, federal, state, and local officials to seek solutions. Again, that's going to be on Monday, March 18th at 6:30. Next is the approval of an ordinance, amendments to Chapter 35 Fire Department. I need a motion and a second to approve the ordinance, please.
I'll make that motion, Clayton.
Thank you, Deborah.
I'll second Rackville.
Thank you, Rackville.
Any questions?
Any questions? Discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Mr. Bernier,
Yes.
Mr. Brackbill,
Yes.
Ms. Clayton,
Yes.
Ms. Dan,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Ms. McKean, or Ms. Purnell,
Yes.
Ms. Sedgwick,
Yes.
Ms. Tosti Vasey.
Yes.
Thank you. Next, we covered the Stony Batter Pine Street topic.
Yes.
Mr. Stewart? Yep. Next is the grant application for traffic signal installation at Parkview Boulevard and Zion Road, which has been a topic since I've been on council. The grant application was not successful. A meeting with our traffic signal engineer is scheduled to review the options. We don't have any council action required for that, just information. Next is the CDBG grant funding for Suspension Bridge project. I need a motion and a second, please, to proceed with the Suspension Bridge project as a 3-year project instead of a 2-year project.
So moved.
Thank you.
Tosti
John.
Vasey.
Second, Dan?
Thank you. Any discussion or questions? Okay, roll call vote, sir.
Mr. Bernier,
Yes.
Mr. Brackbill,
Yes.
Ms. Clayton,
Yes.
Ms. Dan,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Ms. Purnell,
Yes.
Ms. Sedgwick,
Yes.
Ms. Tosti Vasey.
Yes.
Thank you. Next item is the EV parking meter update from our Assistant Borough Manager, Don Holderman.
Well, the update on the meters is that they finally did come in after being back ordered for 6 months. We should have them installed within the next week or two. And at this point, what we do need to discuss is we don't have a fee for the fine for the EV charging station. So we're recommending making a motion to charge the fine of $25 for those 8 parking places.
Thank you, Mr. Holderman. So I need a motion and a second to set the EV charging station fine at $25, please.
I'll make
So
that
moved.
motion.
I'll second it. Barb.
All right, any discussion or comments? Yes, Joanne?
Why are we penalizing EV drivers with a parking fine that is 125 to 250% higher than all of the other overtime parking violation and is over 300% violation no matter the reason? The most is $15 for the other types of parking violations that are called out, except for handicap parking, which is a state mandated fee. I believe this is excessive and unreasonable, and if we're going to do it, then we should set it the same as the other call-out fees. So I'm making a motion to change that to $15.
Just to answer your question, Joanne, the rationale was based on the fact that we're charging $3 per hour for EV charging stations per council's request. That's $1 for administration, $1 for electricity, and $1 for parking. If someone, the maximum amount of time someone can park there is 10 hours. So the reason it was set at $25 is it's still a little bit less than the maximum parking. If someone parked there for 10 hours and charged, it would cost them $30. So that was why the recommendation was 25. The regular parking meters, we charge a $15 fine, but they're only $1 an hour, so with a 10-hour max. So you have $5 more for parking on street parking.
Thank you.
I believe from the fee schedule that that is incorrect. Hold on a second, let me pull it up. I didn't have it here, hold on. Okay, so the parking fees are $10 for the first violation, and $12 for the second violation, $20 for a third violation in the same day. There is a 2-hour limit violation of $8, so it's only $8 for a overtime parking fee, as I read our fee schedule. So I still think it should go back to the 15. If you're doing a call-out, as we do for parking in a restricted area, a fire hydrant, parking against traffic, doing it on a highway, parking on an alternate side, parking on a sidewalk, parking in a blocked driveway, a head and hold, whatever that is, and parking across the lines.
Well, thank you, Joanne. I stand corrected.
Hearing none.